Perth, Australia, down under, Elimination Chamber. So it's flipped upside down like a bowl, but it doesn't contain anything because it's steel with holes in it. Yes, that's. Anyway, look. Elimination Chamber's coming up, and it's one of my favorite, I guess, WWE features. I was like, to me, it's it's like like how there's SummerSlam, there, like Money in the Bank. So it's like it's one of the top ones that they always have. But I was like, but as far as like gimmicks go, I like it. I like it better than War Games. I was like, I've even started to like it more than Money in the Bank, just because we don't really get that many like ladder matches, and it's just really for the contract that played out the whole year. So I was like, the gimmick of it isn't necessarily the Money in the Bank. The gimmick of it is ladder matches and the Terror and all that other stuff. But anyway, I was like, it really comes in, Royal Rumble probably at the top if you want to talk about it. But so we getting that coming up, and it's pretty straightforward how it sort of is most years, is that it's like really like we find out who loses the Rumble, who wins the Rumble. So then we got to find out who gets to go and face the other champions. I know they've had it where they had the U.S. Championship. I think that was like last year. They've done the Tag Team Championships at least like I think once or twice. Yeah, so I was like, it's really for number one contendership. I was like, every now and then it's like the Women's Championship or something like that. But I was like, I also think that while we know what it is going to be this year, I wanted to do a what if scenario, because I thought about this a while back. I never went on the idea, but if we go back 2-3 months ago, before we knew Cody was going to win the Rumble and be all in this hoopla with The Rock and Roman, before we knew that Bayley was going to win and get, double turned by, Damage Control, while we still sort of was figuring out that Drew has his story along with CM Punk being there and all this other stuff, is that I was thinking that while yes, Triple H may have had a plan, that they had all the options to make a really great chamber. Not saying that this won't be great, but I was like, if I could, I would have everything in Elimination Chamber. Obviously, that's not possible. It's probably possible, but it'd be overdone. But if you think about it, this is probably one of the few times I could think of that every single, nearly every single title could have an Elimination Chamber. Like, for instance, all right, cool. We got the U.S. Championship. Of course, you just sort of put, I was like, well, Logan Paul in there. I was like, you already done sort of did a tournament of people that could also really go in there and do side stories with that. So it wouldn't have been, let's say, I was like, it would have been hard to gather up some people. Like, you done already, like you got Logan Paul, you have Rey Mysterio. I was like, you got Rey in there, you can put Dom in there, and that gives you a nice little connection in that spot. Yeah, Santos Escobar. I was like, so you had him. You could have did like Carlito or maybe Dragon Lee. I'll probably go with Dragon Lee just because I was like, even they done had a little battle, but it was only teased for a minute or something like that. And then you could just sort of throw in someone that sort of, been around before we got to how him and Kevin Owens has been doing their thing. But I was like, that would have been awesome. And it'd have been on that one would have been somewhere in the middle just because you don't have enough star power to keep everything going, where every other one was strong. Now look at something like Rhea and her women's title. They already did something like that at Crown Jewel, which I wish they would have saved it for here, because I thought that would have been better, and you would have been able to fill out the participants of the Elimination Chamber easy. You already have Rhea who's going in, you had Zoe Starks, you had Shayna Baszler, you had Nia Jax, you had Raquel Rodriguez, and then you could have put Becky, and then or I would like Liv Morgan end up returning. So it's like I'm like you had a plethora of people in there that you could have thrown in there, and that could have been a really great chamber. You wouldn't have had to do necessarily the 5 women and get the like. I get it. Like now, I was like hindsight. It's like okay, cool. You gave all them women a chance, and they were sort of in spots and they were plugged in spots to where now when you do this elimination chamber, you actually think that every one of them have sort of a shot to sort of get in because they've already been around Rhea or fought around Rhea. But I thought that would have been a great thing to do, especially it being her hometown and stuff like that. That yes, because of Roman, it wouldn't go last, but you will put that last, or you open up the night with it because that will get everybody ready to go. That she comes out on top in the elimination. I'm just saying. Then we go to something like Gunther with the Intercontinental Championship. This one was actually hard to try to figure out who you actually throw in here, just because there is so many people that you're like, okay, who can actually do this? Now, I was like, of course, it's Gunther. I was like, you could put everybody's favorite, especially at the time, it would have been Chad Gable. I was like, even though I was like, he hadn't really been in anything, he's not really doing anything. But at the time, he was still on a little bit of, even though he was still in the mix to where you knew like, yeah, he don't lose streak after that, but now he's back to being what he was beforehand. So that's somebody. I was like, what we end up probably, from getting out with the Miz, that would have been a solid person to put in there. I was like, how they were going back and forth and doing their thing of, attacking each other and stuff. Then I was like, man, who else has been in here? And I think one, you get Kofi. I was like, Kofi's always good for a spot. Kofi's always good of being around in these matches where you just need a good solid match. He can give that for you. And then I was like, then you start getting people who I was like, I know they did stuff with DIY and whatnot, but I wouldn't mind if they had Tommaso Ciampa in there. I was like, I feel like he would have been a good, person in a good spot in there. And the other one was sort of hard for me to figure out. I'm like, because I thought about it, I'm like, okay, do we do something like Bronson Reed? Because he done had a couple matches with Gunther. Ivar really never have a chance, but I'm surprised that it never happened. But then I was like, if you get, I was like, maybe he wouldn't be healthy, but if you got Sheamus, and so that way it sort of brings it a little bit more full circle of all the people that Gunther has sort of ran through. Because especially at this time, I'm like, Jade facing them on Raw, so we haven't hit that, just yet. And so that's why I said it had been between Sheamus and Bronson Reed. Maybe you put Bronson Reed in instead of Tommaso Ciampa. But I was like, at the time, we didn't know Gargano wasn't back yet. So playing cards up at the chain that we all see. But also, too, that we know that Gunther wouldn't make it to Elimination Chamber anyway. So that sort of was a downer in that retrospect, which is sort of why I couldn't really make the video how I want to make it, kind of details. But that'd have been another. The Women's Championship with Io Sky. This one had a little bit. This one was like, okay, if they did damage control earlier of breaking down and whatnot, you could have gotten to a point where everybody was sort of in this, where just like there was just a huge fallout. So you can have Io, Asuka, and Kyrie. Cause I was like, maybe you just put them in matches where, or like like getting into the chamber or something like that, to where they have to win because you want to win your match, but you end up having to face Io. It's one of them things that's like almost like the Rumble, like that's your friend, but not really. I want to win the title at the same time. So you got those three. Of course, there's Bayley. It sucks that Dakota Kai, no matter how I even try to play this fantasy in my head, is that she wouldn't have been healthy at all to participate. Otherwise, she would have been in there to pick, for my pick. Now, with that, I was like, you got to put Bianca in there because of all her stuff that she's been doing with that. and we wouldn't have known. I was like at the time, but you would have put Charlotte in there. Not, I was like, she got hurt, and she wouldn't have been able to do this at all anyway. But at the time, you would have basically had the three of damage control, the two that of the outside have been feuding the longest with her, and Bayley, who probably would have been up and down at the time, depending on how you do this whole thing. I'm just saying. The World Heavyweight Championship and Seth Rollins is really difficult to do, because the only person I really have for that one is CM Punk. There's nobody from either brand that I felt had a strong, or you know what? Now that we got people in there, I was like, it's still be difficult. Cause I was like Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Finn Balor, Shinsuke Nakamura. I was like, it's people that, especially that we felt like should be. I was like that Seth. You could see where Seth should have lost against those people. It's them main. I was like, well, CM Punk, they just got the whole beef, but Shinsuke, you had a couple times where it's like he's gonna beat Cole. I was like, Seth, right? No. Finn, he's going to beat. No. And also at this time too, I understand how it doesn't properly fit, but at the same time, putting Damian Priest in there, I'm not one of those people that just because he got the briefcase, he shouldn't still be entitled to opportunity. Because I'm like, no, because if you still do what you need to do, I'm like, no, you should be up there. Go ahead, no. So I was like, you throw him in because he's had his beef and his stuff with Seth Rollins. It was just hard figuring out of just like who legitimately that you just see that's like, okay, who is Seth either bothered enough that I can't throw, because I was like, the rest of the people I'm leaving is purposely for the last chamber, and I'm gonna just forfeit the last spot. I was like, because I was like, there's nobody. Cause I'm like, I already put Logan somewhere else. I was like, codyrhodes, obviously you can figure out going to be in the other chamber. I'm like, no. I was like, at the right now, nobody. Maybe something to come to me another day. Well, it doesn't matter because this is all fantasy booking. And last but not least, in the main chamber, Roman Reigns, Tribal Chief. Would I love Roman to be in the chamber? Yes. Would Roman be in the chamber? Probably not. So there would probably be like a number one contendership or something. But excluding Roman Reigns from right now, it would be the ultimate chamber. Because it's almost to the point of who do you not even put in the chamber. I was like, you got KO, you got Sammy. I was like, you got Randy Orton, AJ Styles. You got Drew McIntyre in there. So I'm like, that's why I'm like, you could go with like that plethora of people. But I'm like, and then there's Cody. Cody, my bad, other finger. Where just like those 6 people just off the top of the head. Jeyuso, like he had a claim to also, I wish they would have sort of did more with him in the Rumble of telling, because they didn't really tell his story of like him being in the final 6 or whatever, being like, why wouldn't he want another shot at his cousin? I get that he was dumb, but why wouldn't you want to sell your ticket? I was like, it's really weird that I was like, I don't like that he just forgot. I know he said he was done, but anyway, I was like, that would just be the ultimate chamber. That'd be one of the few times that I'm like, let's break a rule. We're gonna have 7 people. I was like, Roman, you get to be in the chamber. You might be last. Sure, we'll give you last. But everybody else is going to be in the chamber. And we just start out on the triple threat. Instead of 2, we just start out on the triple threat. Because I'm like, that's how many people can actively say that you either been in a match with Roman and been cost the championship. Well, I mean, all of y'all had because nobody beat him. But everybody had a claim to get their shot back. Even though somebody like Kevin, who's going to fought him like 6 times. I was like, he still had an axe to grind. You know what I'm saying? Um, you know what? Just because we'll just throw Bobby Lashley and the Seth Rollins one. I was like, you know what? Just because what the Almighty be doing? He don't be doing nothing. We gotta give him a little something here. But anyway, Roman. I was like that, and this overall of why I even thought about this and even doing this video when it doesn't have any real reason or purpose is really just sort of telling of how good WWE has been. The fact that I, in my head, can come up with like nearly 6 Elimination Chamber matches. If I had the power, I would like we have all 6 of them in one Elimination day. We might do a 2-day event of just Elimination Chamber and Elimination Chamber, but I don't make the rules. It's not for me. I don't have that power, but that just says to their ability that they have been able to either craft a story or give good characters with the story that, except for pretty much filling out the Seth Rollins one, and that was really just about one person. Everybody else is connected or has some beef with somebody who has a beef with to the main person in a way that you can fill out every single spot. Whether it's basically the damage control elimination chamber, and I'm like that's what that is. The bloodline elimination chamber. I like should Seth really win the elimination chamber? The Imperium, I was like I know all of them not in there, but I was like the Gunther reign. I was like elimination chamber, uh, the influencer elimination chamber, or mommy elimination chamber. You could fill out all of them in any sort of way to where there's legit, people. And sometimes when it's like they wrestle every single day, it's kind of hard to think that they actually, kind of like Rhea hadn't had that many. They're talking about Roman because Roman doesn't have that many title defenders, but neither has really Rhea in comparison to like somebody like Gunther who doesn't have like quite a bit. But when it's a whole year, it's hard to come up with that. But when you get to a solid part of the year, it's like there's actually like 4 or 5 people that I don't mind they would go with to challenge this person. It's rare you have that. Most of the time it's just like, well, you can't do that one again. Jeez, it's like we're gonna do that one again. Feels like in the old days, it'd just be like rinse, repeat, or you'd be like, I guess that's it. We already know what's gonna do or whatever. I don't really care about that. Anyway, thank you for if you watched this whole thing or being in the trip with me in my mind of just being like, oh, I'm gonna just fantasy book some stuff that has nothing to even do with anything at all, since everything else is set in more stone than what it would have been a couple months ago. But let me know, what do you think? Would you have liked to see them other chamber ideas? Who would you have put in some of those spots to make it a whole thing? Yeah, I was like, and we're gonna get ready to see how this Elimination Chamber go. But until then, till next wrestling thing, see you on the mat.